I started driving trucks when I was 26, mostly night routes, because they paid a little extra and fewer people wanted them. The route I hated most was the one that cut through the old industrial highway outside town. It was technically faster, but everyone knew something felt off about that road. No lights for miles, broken factories on both sides, and long stretches where even the radio went dead. Still, I drove it because I needed the money. One night in late November, I picked up a load that had to be delivered before sunrise. The dispatcher warned me the main highway was closed due to construction, so I'd have to take the industrial route. I remember hesitating for a second before agreeing, but I told myself fear doesn't pay bills. By the time I hit that road, it was close to 1:40 a.m. Fog had started rolling in low, sticking close to the asphalt like smoke. My headlights barely cut through it, and everything beyond a few feet felt swallowed. About 15 minutes in, I noticed another truck ahead of me, an older model, semi-dark in color, moving slower than it should have. That wasn't strange on its own, but what bothered me was how it stayed just far enough ahead that I couldn't clearly see the cab. No company logo, no reflectors on the back, just a dull red glow from its taillights. I slowed down, keeping distance, telling myself I'd pass when the road opened up, but the road never opened. Mile after mile, it stayed narrow and boxed in by abandoned warehouses. The truck ahead never sped up or slowed down. Same exact distance, same exact pace. After a while, I realized something else was wrong. The fog behind me had thickened, but ahead of that truck, the air looked clear, like it was cutting a tunnel through the mist. I radioed out, asking if anyone else was on the route. Static. No response. I tried switching channels. Still nothing. Then my radio clicked once and went completely silent. That's when the brake lights on the truck ahead suddenly flared bright red. I slammed my brakes, heart jumping into my throat. There was no reason for it to stop. No turn, no obstacle. It just stopped. I barely missed it. I sat there, gripping the wheel, engine idling, waiting for the driver to step out or signal something. Nothing happened. No door opened. No hazard lights. Just that truck, sitting dead in the road. I flashed my high beams once, twice, still nothing. Against every instinct I had, I stepped out of my cab. The air felt heavy, like pressure before a storm. My boots echoed too loudly on the pavement. As I walked closer, I noticed the trailer doors were slightly open, chains hanging loose. That made no sense. Loads are sealed tight. I called out, asking if the driver was okay. My voice sounded wrong out there, like it didn't belong. I reached the cab window and looked inside. There was no one in the driver's seat. No body, no blood, nothing, just an empty cab. Engine still running, steering wheel vibrating slightly. My stomach dropped. I backed away, every nerve screaming at me to get back in my truck. That's when I heard footsteps behind me, slow, heavy, not rushing. I turned around, expecting to see someone coming from the warehouses, but the road behind me was empty. Except now, my truck wasn't where I left it. It was farther back, much farther back, like the distance had stretched while I wasn't looking. Then I heard a door slam. I spun back toward the other truck just in time to see the cab door close on its own. The engine revved. The truck began rolling forward again, slow at first, then faster, disappearing into the fog ahead like it had never stopped at all. I ran back to my truck, jumped in, and floored it. I didn't care about speed limits or the load. I just wanted out. But no matter how fast I drove, I couldn't leave that road. My GPS stopped updating, showing the same stretch repeating over and over. Warehouses I recognized passed by again. Cracked signs. Same graffiti. Same broken streetlight flickering once before dying. Then, ahead of me, those same red tail lights appeared again. The truck was back. This time, it wasn't ahead of me. It was beside me, pacing me perfectly in the opposite lane. I refused to look at the cab, staring straight ahead, whispering to myself to keep driving, but I felt it. That awareness, like someone was watching me from a few feet away. Slowly, against my will, I turned my head. The cab was empty. No driver, no reflection, just darkness inside, deeper than it should have been. Then the horn blasted, long, deafening. The sound shook my chest. I screamed and swerved, nearly losing control. When I corrected the wheel and looked again, the other truck was gone. The fog lifted all at once. The warehouses ended. Streetlights appeared. My GPS refreshed. I was back on the main highway like nothing had happened. I pulled over at the first truck stop and sat there shaking until dawn. I reported everything to dispatch. They checked records. No other truck was logged on that route at that time. No breakdowns. No reports. One older driver overheard me talking and quietly told me that road used to be a testing route decades ago. Experimental trucks. Fatal accidents. Drivers who died when systems failed late at night. Some trucks were never recovered. I don't know if what I followed was a ghost, a memory, or something else entirely. I just know this. I never take that route anymore. And sometimes, when I'm driving late at night and fog starts to roll in, I see red tail lights in the distance that match my speed perfectly. When that happens, I slow down. I never follow them. I had been hauling freight for almost 8 years when this happened, long enough to trust my instincts and ignore superstition. Most truckers have at least one road they refuse to drive. Mine was Route 19 through the northern plains, not because of ghosts or stories, but because it felt empty in a way that didn't make sense. Flat land, no trees, no towns for hours. You could drive for miles and feel like the world had ended behind you. But that winter, a contract came up that paid double for overnight runs through that stretch, and I took it without thinking twice. The load was standard refrigerated cargo, sealed and logged properly. Nothing unusual. I left just after midnight, coffee still hot, radio low. Snow hadn't fallen yet, but the air had that sharp bite that tells you it's coming. About an hour into the drive, I realized I hadn't passed a single vehicle. No headlights. Not even a car on the opposite side. That wasn't normal, even for Route 19. I checked the time again, thinking I might be earlier than I thought, but the clock was moving normally. Then I noticed the lights in my side mirror. At first, I thought it was a car riding too close. 2 pale headlights, low to the ground, staying perfectly aligned with my trailer. I slowed slightly, expecting them to pass. They didn't. I sped up. They stayed with me. No fluctuation, no drift, just locked in place. I tapped the brakes once, a warning. The lights didn't react. That's when I realized I couldn't see the vehicle itself, just the lights. No grille reflection, no outline, nothing connecting them. I radioed out, asking if anyone else was on Route 19. Static. I tried again. Still nothing. My CB had been working fine earlier. I adjusted the mirror, trying to catch a better angle. The lights flickered once, like a bad bulb, then steadied again. The temperature warning on my dash suddenly chimed. The refrigeration unit was dropping fast. That shouldn't have been possible. The unit was brand new, inspected that same day. I pulled over onto the shoulder, deciding to check it manually. The lights behind me stopped with me. I sat there for a moment, hand on the door handle, every instinct telling me to stay inside the cab. I ignored it. The cold hit me like a wall when I stepped down. Windless, silent, and wrong. The snow hadn't started yet, but the ground looked dusted white anyway, like frost that didn't sparkle. I walked toward the back of the trailer. That's when I heard it. Footsteps crunching softly behind me. I turned, expecting to see the car's driver. There was nothing there. Just my truck, idling, exhaust rising slowly. The headlights were gone. I checked the refrigeration unit. It was running. No alarms. No visible damage. But the metal felt colder than it should have, like it had been sitting unplugged for hours. I hurried back into the cab, slammed the door, and pulled back onto the road. 10 minutes later, the lights returned.